How did
You're
you
like,
get Josh Robert Thompson?
you
Like,
thought
that's
he
not.
sighed right before you went live. I'm like, you're like the saddest person ever to talk to one of my favorite voice actors. Well, actor. I just say voice actor, but he does some of my favorite impressions of all time.
We got to
How did I
ask him
get
that
him? So
question.
I was
How
watching
did
the
you?
Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson on YouTube, and
Who?
from some guy, and I remembered how much I loved Geoff Peterson, which is like the robot sidekick. So it's basically like it'd be like if Ed McMahon for some reason was a robot.
Who
It's like
swallowed a
that.
harmonica?
I don't
Yep.
know. I have questions, and I was thinking to myself, "My God, I love this so much, and I don't know why it exists." And that's just one of the things that Josh has done that is amazing and memorable. And I also remembered this is like I don't know, 20 years ago now. Did the fake Arnold Schwarzenegger voice on the Howard Stern show that was so good that news outlets like ran stories about the crazy things Arnold was saying. He's done so much more than that. So we're going to talk about the things he's doing now.
He's been an actor in G.I. Joe, Skylanders, so many places. I
Stand
mean,
up comedy.
right? And of course, because he's white, a podcast.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gorgone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
Hey, your mom's here.
Hey, it's my biological mother, Diane Brogan.
And your dad.
And her husband, Steve Brogan.
You stop it. Coach Woodard,
Who
Janet.
provided at least half the DNA on this big, bad mistake. It's Josh Robert Thompson's birthday today, I was told.
I know. I'm so excited. We should get him out and say happy birthday.
Yeah, we should bring it up. Happy birthday, and we're not singing. Hi.
Thanks
How the
very
heck are you?
much. Where am I? I'm awake. I'm here.
Oh, yes. West Coast time, everyone.
Just
So,
for you. Just for
on
the two of you.
birthday. I can't.
That's right. I'm
Thank
dedicated.
you.
I'm
So you're
dedicated.
paying
That's right.
forward.
That's right. The PR machine is it stops for no one. It stops for no one.
I'm very happy to be here, very excited to do the show. Immediately, I start talking like Morgan Freeman. In the morning, it feels so good to watch the sun rise and narrate it. Of course, my girlfriend gets pretty annoyed by that after a while, but still, it's fun.
I guess
While
it
it
depends what
lasts.
you're saying.
It's great in the bedroom.
Right. That's what I was thinking. The lights are still low. You know?
Josh slowly began to, well, we won't get into that, but still,
You can really
can
spice
just imagine.
things up, though.
Yeah, it's really helpful. Hello. I'm happy to be here. This is really exciting.
I'm ridiculously excited.
Now, there's
And
a sentence.
when Chris realized who you were, he was very excited too.
Yeah, I was saying, so Kerry picks a lot of our guests just by kind of, I would like to get this kind of a person or has some reason. So in her mind, she says, I think I'm going to go find the voice of Geoff Peterson, the robot of Craig Ferguson. Not having talked to Kerry, I have been binge watching a whole bunch of Craig Ferguson stuff, which of course, you're in a lot. And one of the things I found the best is that, comedians against comedians is always the best way to make people laugh.
Yeah.
And so you would get on some kind of recurring bit. Like, for instance, one of the ones I remember for no great reason was like you mentioned having a place in somewhere.
That's
and
right.
you said, and we'd kind of hipster it up and blah, blah, blah. And then, this such and such from New Hampshire called in. I've got a place in New Hampshire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then-
I've got a place there. Oh, yeah. New York. Sure. I've got a place there. That bit actually was and it's on YouTube. It's actually on my channel. So many people share this video with me over the years.
Really?
And they say, Josh, you got to see this. Did you know that this was posted? And I say, yeah, I do that. That's on my YouTube channel. But thanks for showing me. That was the moment that solidified me on the Late Late Show. That was the moment that, Craig said, all right, we're going to do this from now on. I think that was one of my first live bits in studio, actually puppeteering or operating Geoff and voicing at the same time. Because prior to that, it was pre-recorded by me. But yeah, that was a huge moment. That was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, there's kind of a lot going on, actually. I don't think I appreciated fully the amount of work that was going into it because you're puppeteering while you're kind of doing improv and stuff.
Yeah.
And acting and
Yeah.
sometimes making the phone ring.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I think most people, even most diehard fans of the Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, they didn't know it was me. They assumed it was a real robot. And if they did know it was me, they didn't know I was puppeteering this character. I was behind a wall with musical instruments, and Geoff's mouth movements were not voice activated. There was a button that I had to press every single time to make Jeff's mouth move, which of course became second nature, within a couple of weeks. But there were musical instruments, and there was a button on the floor next to me that I would press with my foot that would make Craig's old-timey phone ring. So, and I also puppeteered Sandra the Talking Rhino. After a while, I took over that character. So I had a lot going on. The voices of all the shy fellas, the imaginary band, the shy band that was behind a red curtain, the celebrity flies that would fly around.
The Jay Leno fly and all that.
Yeah, the Jay Leno fly. It's flying around like that. And all the voices on the phone. So, I was a one-man band. There's a lot going on back there.
An insane amount to keep track of. So
Yeah.
Chip Griffin says from the late, late show to the early, early show. That's fair.
That's my trajectory, folks.
That's fair.
From the
When
late,
did
lake
you-
show to the...
When did
to
you
the
start doing
early show.
impressions? Because if I did impressions when I was in grade school, I would get in trouble. They were like, stop it, making fun of people.
Yeah. Well, I got in a lot of trouble. Yeah, I went to, Catholic school, so I got
Oh,
back when you got hit on the hand with a ruler. The nuns would still hit you on the hand back then. It's a good method of punishment. And it hasn't affected me at all, clearly. So I think I started
would
doing
it?
voices because I watched the old Muppet Show when the Muppet Show was new, the original Muppet Show, kids. And I would mimic what I saw on TV. I would mimic it into my Fisher-Price tape recorder. And then I found out later by reading a book about the Muppets that there were all these adults, these grown adults that did the voices of multiple characters. And that's kind of how I started, doing voices and mimicking things. So
like you realized that was a thing people did for a job.
yeah, you could do it for a living. Like that's interesting. And I also realized that it was, one person like Frank Oz, for example, would do multiple characters. That concept was very new to me. Miss Piggy or Fozzie Bear or Grover or Yoda. I couldn't understand how one person could change their voice that way and do that. So that's kind of how I started getting interested in it. And then, doing little fake talk shows with my friends with the tape recorder, and eventually, moving to video and building cardboard talk show sets. I even played Johnny Carson when I was in junior high, and I wore a bald skull cap, and for Johnny's hair, I used white Barbasol shaving cream and just formed it, and then all of my cousins were my guests, and I still have that tape around here somewhere. We got a great show for you tonight. My cousin Bobby is here. Isn't that wild? So that's kind of how that all started.
You need to post that on the jrtshow.com.
Yeah. Oh, thejrtshow.com. Because JRT
Little
show,
link to the domain name party
yeah.
there.
Well, and some other guy took JRT show, and now it's, I think, going for $3,000. So thanks, buddy. That was 5 years of my life. So the JRT show, or as my mom calls it, jrt.com. No, Mom, it's the JRT, so jrt.net. It's right there on the
.biz.
screen, folks. .biz, .gov, .org.
Dear Lord.
Now it can be like any damn thing. Didn't they just make that? Like now that's possible.
Yeah,
to make
pretty
anything.
much.
Yeah.
Dot like sandwich bread.
I got Kerry.show.
Wow.
Yes.
Well,
Go get
I'd like to
JRT.show.
announce my new domain name, jrtshow.sandwichbread. So thank you very much for that. I
Your
May I
mom will
help you?
never remember that.
She will.
Oh, you know what? You just reminded me of something because I'm not exactly grown up, but let me just do a quick bunch of ad reads. Hey, you want a .online domain? You could be jrt.online for 99 cents. See Brogan.me/online, 99 American centavos. Go get them. Hey, want to do an audio podcast like Josh Robert Thompson? Well, you're going to have to get better at your Morgan Freeman, but you can get it set up on Castos. Super easy. Castos.
My Morgan Freeman sucks.
I have a Morgan Freeman story I'm going to show you later. Hey, you want to do a cool video show like this? You can. You have to try to be more
funny when I do it.
remember. That was actually reasonably good.
Right?
See
It
Brogan-
was all right.
.me/StreamYard. Hey, do you ever want a search engine that's not Google for reasons? Get presearch.com. You also get crypto coins if you remember to log in, which I do not.
Which
But if you do, you get coins and you can stake stuff, which means basically if JRT wants to be known as Pink Breakfast,
Oh,
he
God.
can. And why
Oh,
on the
he
earth would I
wants
have
that.
mentioned Pink Breakfast?
Well, I have a feeling that you want me to tell this story. I've told it many times before.
Have you
Well,
really? Is
that's-
it a recurring?
What do you
request?
have? What do you have?
You
there?
tell it once, it's all anybody's ever going to want to hear. Like, you know that.
Well, it was. Yeah, was it the first day of 5th grade for me back in the day? I told my mom I told my mother I had a stomach ache. I was feeling very nervous that morning. She assumed it was because I was frightened to go to school, being the first day and all. Maybe first day jitters. I said, no, this is something different, Mama. She said, well, have some breakfast. That'll settle your stomach down. So she made me a traditional American breakfast. Every good old American boy likes to have pink Pop-Tarts. Yeah, strawberry Pop-Tarts. And she said, why don't you wash those Pop-Tarts down with some strawberry quick? I said, sure, that sounds good. Just load me up with sugar. And I said, you know, Mom, I got to tell you, after eating those 2 items, my stomachache still has not dissipated. I probably didn't use that word, but I'm using it now. It hasn't dissipated, Mama. So she said, well, why don't you have some Pepto-Bismol? You know, the one that coats is the one that soothes. Every time I drink that stuff, I imagine, just like the commercial, it's coating the sides of my belly, goes down my esophagus, and I think, oh, that must be what it's doing right now.
It looks a lot like strawberry quick.
It does. So everything was pink, is what I'm trying to say. And I headed to school, and stomachache still didn't go away. So there I was, in front of everybody, first day of school, in the cafeteria, for an assembly, a welcome to the first day of school assembly, where every student was gathered. Yes, every single kid that I would be encountering all year long, all my fellow students in one room. Well, I started to feel a rumble in my tummy, and I knew this was the moment. I couldn't hold it back any longer. I fell to my knees, gently set my E.T. backpack next to me, my members-only jacket, tight around my waist, and I threw up every single thing that I had that morning. Just a pink pile of mess right there, and the little black girl with the lollipop in her mouth, she stared down at me as all the students circled around and stared down at me. She removed the lollipop, and she gestured to me in the vomit, as one might gesture down the street, as if to say, the gas station's down there. But in this case, she was gesturing to me, a human being, and she said, and I quote, that boy puked it.
And that's how comedians are born, folks. That
Poor
was the first
thing.
day of 5th grade. So for about 2 weeks, I was known, which isn't very long. I thought it would be a lot longer. I was known as Puke Boy. So that's
Just 2 weeks? That didn't stick with you till like
it's not
prom?
bad. Yeah, it's not bad. Well, I left schools after that. I went.
Oh.
We moved to the suburbs after.
You went to the factory to get a
Which is
job.
probably why that happened.
You're like, forget this education thing. It's clearly
It was
not.
Cleveland. It was Cleveland. So yeah, that's what they do after 5th grade. You go right to the factory.
That's a horrible story.
You know,
It's all
they
true.
always ask the question about, voice impersonations. Well, how do you figure it out, or how do you come to it? And I've heard so many of the different talents say there are different ways. Dana Carvey says, "I never even try. Like I never try to sound like the voice. I go after a particular, and often makes it up. George H.W. Bush didn't do that thing, and then Dana did it, and then George caught himself doing it all the time after.
Right.
And he goes, I don't know how you did that to me, but now I'm doing this. And I was like, imagine. Well, my question isn't, so how do you come up with the voice? Because I sort of get that, but is there a moment where you start thinking, I want to go after and develop a voice, or are you out just, looking through the pile of, quick, we need a Bezos. I could do a Bezos. How which comes first? Which
Well,
egg, which
that's
chicken?
how. Well, there's 2 different ways. That way, the Bezos example is usually how it goes with my agency. That they will always call 5 minutes before they need the audition, and they'll say, "Hey, you can do a Jackie Mason. Can you do one of those? Go ahead, throw that together." Okay, sure, I got it. Or Jeff Goldblum was one. That one came up last minute, and I had to figure out Jeff Goldblum. So I was just a lot of me sitting here going, "Oh, try start, yes, oh gosh, oh no," and but the Morgan Freeman came out of the De Niro impression. I was on camera doing some video. I don't remember what the project was, but I was doing my Robert De Niro. I was doing the face. How you doing? So when I do the Bobby, there's a thing I do with the tip of my tongue. I put it on the roof of my mouth to kind of get that sort of noise. It's a lot of breathing, like that. So then what happens is I lower the tongue off the roof of my mouth, and then you hear this kind of sound. I'm still doing the voice, but then, that sounds like, wait a minute, that sounds like Morgan Freeman. I think I discovered something. So that's when I stumbled upon
Wow.
Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the Howard Stern days. I was working at Blockbuster Video, and I buried the lead.
Look it up,
I buried
kids.
the lead.
Go to presearch.com.
Yeah.
Look up
What's
Blockbuster.
that? This is before streaming, kids. I was working at Blockbuster Video, going to Cal State Fullerton, putting myself through college. I was a manager at a Blockbuster Video. My parents were very proud, and I found the Conan the Barbarian DVD. This was right when DVDs first arrived. I cleared the first shelf space at our store for this then mysterious and unknown DVD. And the commentary track on Conan the Barbarian is Arnold Schwarzenegger and director John Milius enjoying cigars and pontificating on pretty much everything other than the movie. And so Arnold would say things like, "Oh, this is a great scene where I'm having sex with the wolf witch. This is fantastic. And look at her fangs and how her nails grow. We don't have these effects on women anymore." Right, exactly. And I was like, what is this? I'd only, we're used to the, hasta la vista, baby, and get to the chopper. Everyone that does an Arnold is very, the gurgly, for comedic effect. So I just listened to that commentary track over and over again, and I tapped into the real personality of Arnold. And even though my voice back then didn't sound exactly like Arnold, I just sort of figured out who he was, and I sort of encapsulated that spirit of Arnold. And so then when I would talk about things, it would sound like I was talking about, things that Arnold Schwarzenegger would talk about. I'm very enthusiastic, it's fantastic, and all those type of things. Exactly. Right. And I started doing all these talk shows and pranking people, and I think you just find something about the person that you like. I think you have to like them or admire them. At least I do, and so that's kind of how it works. I think you got to enjoy doing or being that person.
Kind of inhabit the space.
You really fully become them. Yeah. And
Obviously with Morgan Freeman, again, the voice
started out up here. Hello, this is Morgan Freeman. I hear a lot of people doing Morgan Freeman voices, and they get that sort of groggy morning throat thing, and they just kind of talk like this, and that's fine.
But there's a lot of nuance to Morgan Freeman. When he gets excited, his voice goes up like this. Well, shit, I didn't know that. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. If you ever seen my movie, sometimes I get come on, Miss Daisy, get in the back seat. Yo, bitch.
Or whatever, whatever that's, I think that's a quote from the movie. But all due respect to Jessica Tandy, rest in peace. But that's what it is. You find out things about these people later on. Their voices change over the years as my voice changes. So Morgan Freeman now, he's, what is he, 83, I think? His voice is much thinner now, naturally, than it used to be. And I think he has a little bit of denture flap, a little lip flap in there.
So everything with him is very sounds like this now. So he's got this kind of thing.
So I come in and I do a lot of voice replacement for him on movies and things when like there's additional dialogue or maybe there were sound issues or they want to change the line.
Morgan, he said, I'm not coming in and doing that. I did the movie. I'm at home sleeping. You know, I'm not going to do this shit, okay? I'm Morgan Freeman. Have him do it. Have the white boy do it.
Which, by the way, Morgan Freeman knows that I do it. Anybody that's getting worked up right now, he knows it's me. He loves it. I met him on the Late Late Show. And he couldn't believe his eyes when he saw this white guy come out from behind the wall talking like him.
He thought it was a robot.
He thought it, as did everybody.
How did they get that robot to sound like me?
As did Don Rick. You know, Don Rickles apologized. Don Rickles apologized to me. Don Rickles was so confused by Geoff Peterson because he thought, like many, that it was some pre-programmed. It's just some intuitive, what is it, a multi-million-dollar robot that just is able to interact with people. And so I got in some real zingers on Don Rickles. There's a bit floating around out there where me as Geoff Peterson, I'm one-upping Don Rickles. And I said something to him like, hey, Don, I really loved your early work. Before the talkies, I mean. And everybody went, oh, and he was like, that's two you got. And so Don really didn't understand what was happening. You know, Geoff was in a different part of the studio, and you kind of had to, as a guest, you kind of had to look over to look at Geoff Peterson at the lectern. And he just didn't really want anything to do with that character. So his second appearance, Don is informed that there's actually a guy back there puppeteering and voicing this thing. So he bothers, what a gentleman. He bothers to come up to me after that show and he says, listen, first of all, I want to apologize to you. You're a nice young man. And he says, how do you like that? A dummy operating a dummy. I kid. You're a good boy. And he says to me, I had no idea. I thought it was pre-recorded. You're very funny. You're a very funny young man. God bless you. God bless you. So I thought that was very, very sweet of Don Rickles.
That's so sweet.
But
he did get burned. There was a little bit of burn in there.
We're going to risk it all to take a little bite of that. So
there it is.
Did you talk to him yet?
No, I don't. Monetized.
How are you?
Don, hey. Hey, look, I'm a big fan of your earlier work.
Thanks.
Before the talkies, I mean.
God bless you. He's spiteful. He doesn't have the warmth. He's a good guy. You don't to dress up like that. You need the job. God bless you. You're very good in this. You really are.
Sir, you're a legend. I loved you in Toy Story. Oh, I'm thinking of Tom Hanks.
That's two we got off.
That's two we got. That's two.
I'm unplugged. I've been nice, but the man's trying to make a turn on me.
No, you're right. You were being nice. He was being antagonistic. I can have him unplugged.
Nah, leave him alone.
Did Frank ever say that to you? I can have him unplugged.
Frank who? Frank who? I have to
unplugged.
And I've got to really say that. And again, this is another thing a lot of people don't realize is, we made everything up. Listen, we had writers. There was an incredible staff of writers. They were around somewhere. No, they wrote the monologues. And then when Geoff Peterson came into the mix, it was around I think 2011, I started, doing the character live in the studio. Craig started to ignore the monologue. So Monday, you'd have this monologue, all this topical stuff happening in the news. Well, he would ignore that and start talking to Geoff. Tuesday, you'd see the same jokes from Monday. We're going to try again, say the writers. We're going to ignore that, and we're going to have more banter. All right, Wednesday, it's the same monologue with the same jokes. And that sort of became the routine over there. And again, Craig and I did not speak before the show. We didn't plan anything out. We didn't, come up with bits. I'm behind a wall, so he has no idea what my facial expressions are. He doesn't know when I'm going to talk, and I don't know when he's going to look at me. And obviously, I had some monitors back there and things, so I could sort of figure that out. But it really was on the fly. Truly, it was really, really, really fun.
On the
Seedier robot pants.
That's right. In your pants, in your robot pants.
It's, when you say that too, the other thing I'm thinking is there's such a difference between when you work with people where you feel like you can collaborate and where you work with people and like just read the lines. And your IMDb is, you have some really fascinating choices, which I have to ask you about.
Yeah,
because
remind
who
me, 'cause
decides?
I forgot what I did. So
I'd like
You
to
just
be
took the money and
Glitter
forgot
Fists,
about it.
please.
Yeah.
I signed up to be Glitter Fists. I'm a U.S. soldier in Call of Duty, uncredited.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good one. That was like some expansion pack thing. That was like Nazi zombies. And I'm a big horror movie fan, so I have at least 20 movie titles back there on that shelf that are like Italian Nazi zombie movies. One of the best being Zombie Lake. Look it up. Enjoy it, kids. Especially if you're like a 12-year-old boy, you're really going to like it. I'll just say no
With
more.
naked zombies.
Enjoy. But I went into that audition and, casting directors, they hear the same lines all day long. You get what are called sides, and it's just one sheet or two sheets with the sample of the script that you need to read for your character. And in this case, it was a lot of, fire in the hole and get down and, take cover. And I was like, well, wait a minute, these are Nazi zombies. So what would I say to a Nazi zombie? So I just went in there and I started saying, hey, rigor mortis face, suck on this. I started saying things like that, and they went, you got the part. You're in. So hopefully my line made it in. But that is interesting because improv, which we did a lot on the Late Late Show, that factors in heavily in the voiceover world. And for anybody out there that's interested in doing voiceover, consider maybe taking a few classes in improv or learning that skill, because it's very helpful in auditions. It really does help sort of amp up the scripts and make them a bit more colorful.
It must help to have a sense of humor to begin with, though, because if someone's like,
Yes.
how do you mean? Like, you're really different.
What do
Like,
you
thanks
mean?
for coming in.
Well, that is true. Yeah, that is true. Because people say, how can I be funny? And I'm like, I can't help you.
Oh,
No.
sorry. Good
Well, you
working
can
with
be
you.
unintentionally funny. There's
Well, you
plenty of
have
those
to give the
people.
answer like, yeah, you too can be funny. It's like, no, you can't.
See, what you need is a banana peel and a
That's
busy
always
thoroughfare.
When I say, if you have a gorilla suit, because gorilla suits to me are always funny. Anytime I see a movie and somewhat like old time movies with somebody in a gorilla suit. Yes, I own 2 gorilla suits, in case you were wondering. I know you were about to ask that.
Yes. You know what I wanted to know too is out of 72 episodes of The Family Guy,
Yeah.
I just kind of want to whip through this just for a minute. I just want you to say to me, something to the tune of like, this is just all, the talent, your agency would call and you go, yes, I need the check. Yes, I need the check.
Uh-huh.
Because holy cow, listen to these. Listen, Sean Hannity, Patrick Swayze, Morgan Freeman, of course, Willie Nelson, Don Imus, Dennis Quaid, John Mayer. Come on, Josh. How did you pull out your John Mayer?
You know what happens is, so I've been doing Family Guy, and this is, I can't even believe this. I've been doing that show for 11 years now.
Wow.
Which is incredible. It's an amazing group over there, and we've just developed this relationship where they just, at this point, they just go, all right, Josh, can you do Tuesday? Great. We got 5 scripts. We'll have them for you on the day. We'll just figure it out. I mean, you don't have to really sound exactly like the person on Family Guy. You can kind of approximate it. But Don Imus was a fun one. That was, I think that was like a mafia sketch where Peter joined the mafia, and the mob was introducing him to all the different Dons. They were in a warehouse somewhere, and they're like, "This is Don Julio, Don Juan," and then there was Don Imus.
Don Imus was sitting here, something like 7:30 after the hour. The Rutgers basketball team.
It was just something ridiculous like that. I don't remember half of these things because we do them, months, sometimes a year in advance, and then they go off and animate everything. But there's a long list on there of things I don't remember.
You probably don't. I mean, you don't remember what you said some of the time, I bet, because you're kind of in the zone.
I don't. Well, certainly with the Late Late Show. I don't I don't remember anything that we did on that show. People will remind me, and obviously there are videos out there, many videos on YouTube, and I'll go, "Oh, I said that? Well, that's really funny. Wow, good for me. I actually
You're like, "I'm
was
super
okay.
funny."
I was okay on that show." Yeah, Late Late Show I don't remember because, again, it wasn't scripted, so people all the time will say, "Hey, do you have that clip of where you said that one thing?" I have no idea. Now, I did start on the Late Late Show in 2007. This is the other thing a lot of people don't know is I was doing public access TV or local TV out here in a part of Southern California called the Inland Empire, and it was a little town called Chino, California, which is known for two things: cows and the men's prison. So I found, and I moved from Cleveland. I moved from Cleveland to Los Angeles to California in 1996, and around 1998. I found this out-of-the-way TV studio in the middle of nowhere, kind of like a Wayne's World, but more like a UHF, Weird Al kind of situation. This rundown TV studio with very old camera equipment and lights. And for 10 years, from 98 to 2008, I made all of these shows. I made all my variety shows. I did a late-night horror movie show. I still have all the tapes. I learned everything about production. I learned everything about comedy. It was all sort of self-taught, and with friends, we got together and did shows. So one of these shows, I was doing my televangelist character, the Reverend Apostle BG, and I was taking phone calls, and people were getting mad at me. And one of the guys watching, amen, one of the guys watching was a writer from the Late Late Show. This guy, Joe Struzzulo, was getting high and watching my stupid public access show. And he emailed me after the show and said, very funny stuff. What else do you do? Have I heard you before? I said, well, I also call into the Howard Stern show regularly as Arnold Schwarzenegger. He said, well, how about we do a sketch on the Late Late Show where you call in as Arnold Schwarzenegger. So the first thing I did on the show in 2007 was I called Craig as Arnold Schwarzenegger, checking in, from Sacramento. And eventually they put me on camera in a muscle suit and very small muscle suit. Obviously I didn't need that much padding, as you can tell.
Right, yeah.
And latex appliance that took about, 90 minutes to put on to make me look like Arnold. And so I actually was on the Late Late Show for many years on camera as De Niro. There's sketches where De Niro has tea with the Queen, played by Craig. Josh, I'm going to play the Queen, and I want you to sit there, and you're going to be De Niro, and we'll just kind of figure it out, and see what happens. Man, I was so nervous. I mean, I'd only been doing local TV in my own little bubble, in this little world I created, and my dream was always to be on television. I mean, ever since I was a kid, like I said, I built these TV sets in my basement growing up in Cleveland, with refrigerator boxes. Refrigerators used to come in big cardboard boxes that they would discard on the front lawn. That was like heaven for me. So I had this dream, and I saw Drew Carey on The Tonight Show. When I was a kid, Drew Carey made his stand-up debut on The Tonight Show, and it was so exciting for everybody in town because it was like, this is a local guy. This is a Cleveland dude who somehow got out of this town and made it into this glowing box. How do I get in this TV? And so the fact that I was now doing the Late Late Show here and there, I was not like a regular player at that point. I was so nervous. I could not believe that I was doing scenes and sketches with Craig Ferguson. And that is how, over many years, we sort of built this rapport. And Geoff Peterson was pre-recorded for quite a while. I would come in every couple of weeks and I would, say balls and in your pants and sex party. And then I would go away. And they would, and by the way, I have to mention Grant Imahara, the late, great Grant Imahara from Mythbusters. And he worked on the Star Wars prequels. He was a lovely, lovely human being. He built Geoff Peterson, and he showed me how to operate this thing. And so Craig and I were shooting in Vegas. We were doing a sketch where Geoff Peterson and Craig got married, and they can't remember how it happened. It's like The Hangover with Craig and Geoff. So this is what happened. We're in a 57 Chevy that is on a camera truck. Geoff Peterson is driving, so they have the robot sitting there behind the wheel. Craig is in the passenger seat. I'm, of course, hidden away in the back seat, lying down with this remote control device and a little headphone mic. I'm covered with a blanket, and then sitting on top of me is this guy named Brad Lace, this very funny comedian. He's a little person, and he's wearing a leprechaun outfit. So I'm getting a taste of how the next few years of my life is going to be. And I'm lying there, and in between takes, we're being pulled down the Las Vegas Strip in this 57 Chevy. And Craig's getting really, he's like, okay, let's hurry up, guys. I want to go back to the hotel, man. It's enough. We've been out here too long. Fans are starting to walk over to the car. He's like, come on, drive. You got to get out of here, man. So I'm bantering with him, and I start to make him laugh so hard that he's crying. Because what I start doing as Geoff is I start to just rip into him. I just start laying into him like, oh, Mr. Big Shot. Oh, can't talk to the people. Oh, hey, why don't you put some more hand sanitizer on, Craig? You'd always put hand sanitizer on. Yeah, you better. Oh, that one looks dirty. You better. And he's crying because I'm calling him out for how exhausted he is. And he says to me, and this is after a year of me trying to convince the producers. I would say, hey, maybe I come in once and do it live in the studio. No, Craig's never going to go for that. He's never going to, it's not. But maybe if we just talk to Craig, no, don't even try to talk to him. He's never going to. So right after we do the Vegas sketch, Craig turns to me and he says, you know what would be a great idea is if you come in and do it live. Let's try it out, man. And that was it.
Okay, Craig.
So
I guess so.
So it was this long, it wasn't like overnight. It wasn't an audition process. It was a very long sort of gestation period before we got to what everyone knows and loves. And I think it was great that it unfolded that way. I really do.
I want to play a clip or two.
I love that he was high when he first heard you. Is that why they like give everybody weed that would come to the live taping?
Yeah, we had pretty much homeless people. We had like fans waiting outside to get in to see the show.
Oh,
and they'd be outside holding umbrellas. It'd be like 100 degrees. By the time they got in, they were so exhausted they didn't care. So the producer, Michael Natus, this is what people, they would come up to me before every show, like 2 seconds before the show would begin. He would walk past me going to his little area in the studio, and he'd say, hey, Josh, how you doing? Craig's in a very bad mood, and the audience is terrible. Have a great show. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
I'm going to play just a couple quick clips of Geoff Peterson stolen off of YouTube. Please
You're
don't
going
fire
to get demonetized.
5 red is Miss Dolly Parton. I think that's a yes, isn't it? Don't ask, don't tell with robots. Anyway, so what's up? Should we go to the commercial break? What exactly do you mean by that?
That's Craig.
Well, I'll go to, I'll say, I'll see you in a minute, and then they show us some commercials. Right, no. Right, why not indeed? All right, we'll be right back, everybody.
That's interesting because
that's old, right?
Craig did the voice in the very beginning for like a few weeks. Craig's whole idea was, this is going to be a character that agrees to everything I say, and it's really the quintessential sidekick. So Craig would come in and do this sort of Dalek voice, and they would filter it. And as Craig would often do, he got tired of it. So, I think at one point he had a sound effects machine on the show that he got tired of that made these whipping noises and like a donkey say, I don't want that anymore. Get rid of it, man. Get it out of here. So we thought that Geoff was basically going to last a few weeks. I mean, I had no concept that this would continue. And he asked me he's like, well, you want to do it, man? Give it a try, man. Come up with something, man. I said, okay.
So you thought this was
look
like
at
a
this
couple
because
weeks.
You've got to see the difference in this, though, because
it.
Hang on 1 second. Look just at a bite of this.
Yeah, we go fishing and we throw beads at people. We take our clothes off, go swimming. Just you and me together.
So just like what we do here, then, basically.
Yeah.
Yay! right. This is
See, so it's all changed up. It's a whole new world.
Yeah, it's completely different, and you're back there making it move.
And that's very different from even when I pre-recorded the voice, because Tom Straw was one of the writers on the show, and Tom is also a great crime novelist. Check out some of his books. He's an amazing writer. Tom wrote initially all of those phrases. So Tom would just hand me a sheet and it would say, balls in your pants. Sure. And then Tom said he had very strong ideas about what Geoff should sound like. And he said, I'm thinking like a George Takei type of thing. And I was like, okay, but that's sort of the sidekick on, he's Stern's sidekick, but okay, and I pranked him as Arnold Schwarzenegger on the Stern show, but okay. So in the beginning, it was very, hi, how are you? Oh, and it had this gravelly kind of sound to it. And then eventually, as I did it live, it just became more my voice, because it was very hard to sustain this during an entire show. So I just got tired of it. We all got tired of the show and just didn't care anymore. And that's when the show, I think, was its best, to be honest with you.
When you'd stopped caring in any great deal.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't even think we were on the air, I think, for the last year. But
that would be hilarious. Is that what they do now? Because people think that you've been doing nothing in between. Do they think somebody just turned on a monitor and said you're on, and you weren't, and you've just been by yourself, doing nothing for 8 years or something?
That is, I know you laugh, but it's the comment I get the most, and I nonstop promoting things and telling people about stuff, and every day I'll get it. Where have you been? I hope you're working and doing well.
They get 80 audiobooks in or something.
I started doing the Kelly Clarkson Show, about a year and a half ago. I'm in my second season over there doing
the voice of God. For legal reasons, it's the voice of God
during the game show segments, and that is when my mom and my family finally noticed that I was doing something else, because it's a daytime talk show. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you're finally doing something. What have I been in a cryogenic chamber for 7 years? What do you think I've been doing over here?
Do you think you were cashiering at the Piggly Wiggly or something?
You know what? If the check's clear, I'm okay with people can think whatever they want. But honestly, for me, my only frustration is for the fans or my followers, because I would love for them to see a lot of the other stuff that I've been doing, because a lot of people are genuinely curious about that. And so
and the JRTshow.com
is the place to go.
The JRT.
I was thinking about the fact that if they haven't seen Inside Job, they're missing some really fun stuff. I mean, that's a crazy
Inside Job
show.
is a great show. That's a great show. I'm really proud of that. That's from the creators of a show called Gravity Falls. And,
right.
Shion Takeuchi, this is her first big project. This was her baby. This was her idea. And she comes from Gravity Falls. And it's an amazingly funny show about the shadow government. It's about the people who run the shadow government. So there's a lot of lizard people and conspiracy theories and
robots.
Yeah.
There's a robot president. Robot POTUS.
Which ironically, during the table reads where they have the whole cast get together in front of all the executives, I was doing the voice of the robot president, and then they said, "You're not famous enough, so we're going to get somebody else." No, they didn't say.
And they forced you to become the Pope.
I think I was the Pope. I don't remember being the Pope,
you were
but
the
I do
Pope.
remember.
That was one of them.
I was
Ken Burns.
Ken Burns is a great one, and then I also was a secret agent, sort of a 007 parody. And then who else was? Oh, Buzz Aldrin. My favorite character. I play Buzz Aldrin, who runs a sex colony on the moon, and it's a great show. But also, right after the Late Late Show, I made my own. I took my own money, and kids don't ever do this. I took a lot of the money I made from the Late Late Show, and I put it into my own TV pilot or comedy special. And we had an amazing crowdfunding campaign to do the post-production on that. Got to do the sound mix at Skywalker Sound. So, a dream come true for me to go to Skywalker Ranch and, be in the same place that George Lucas was, hanging around. And so I'm at Skywalker Sound. In my sketch, I have in my pilot, there's a sketch where I play George Lucas, and it imagines what is George Lucas doing in retirement. And one of the writers from The Late Late Show, Bob Oshak, good friend of mine, is the guy interviewing me in that sketch. And we're screening it at Skywalker Sound in the THX Theater. And here comes the greatest sound editor of all time, Ben Burt, who's worked on all the Star Wars movies and Indiana Jones. He was the voice of Wall-E. This guy's the greatest sound editor of all time. And he walks in and he stands there and he's watching me in this sketch as George Lucas. And he says, "Oh, George would really like this. This is really, really funny." And years later, I did a series of deep fake videos for Collider. And if you don't know what deep fake is out there, it's basically just a high-end face swap is all it is. It just totally replaces my face with George's face. So that yet again, I'm hidden and people go, "Now who's back behind the..." Anyway, George Lucas has seen my deep fakes where I play George Lucas. He has watched them. And I got a friend over at Lucasfilm who messaged me to let me know that George saw them. And without saying it, he was basically saying that George agreed with everything I was saying about the new Star Wars movies, but without saying that he agreed, and that he thought it was extremely funny. And that is one of the greatest honors. I think that and meeting Carol Burnett at The Late Late Show. Those are the two big ones for me, man.
I feel like it's my birthday now.
For all these treasures?
Yeah, I'm laughing so
Oh.
hard.
So I'm looking it
early.
up now. I have it right up on screen. But
Oh, yeah.
one thing is, I was not looking because I'm queuing things and all that. I was not looking
Right,
when you
right.
started doing your George. Not only does it sound just like George, but you know what I realized? That man is never going to be able to like order a pizza by himself because no one would take it. He has no weight to his voice.
Well, no, it's interesting because, when I direct my films, the main thing that I say is faster, more intense. Those are the only directions that I give. Or I'll kind of go, "Yeah, it's good. It's good. We got it. We got it." And, there's a lot of that sort of vocal fry. And I seem nonplussed, and then
About everything.
but then I create these amazing worlds and I have, $4.5 billion. So really you can just all kiss my ass is what I say.
Every day.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we got to wrap this show up. It's we've
wanting
made
to.
mistakes. Mistakes were made, but that's okay. We'll do some things. Okay, so listen, we have a few. Oh, we forgot even to ask them about. All right, hang on.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
I'm sort of thrown because we haven't had Paul around for a while, so it'd be kind of nice to recognize him and say, "Hey, good to see you there." But I'm gonna go with Chip. Chip said, "I thought that story might end with Paul Harvey style, like with, and that's how Pink got her name."
That's how
And
Pink,
that's how Pink got her
Paul
name.
Harvey. Good day.
God
I
bless
miss
that
Paul Harvey.
crazy, strange fossil.
I miss Paul Harvey and I miss Wally George. Shout out to Wally George out there.
Wally George. All right, so our last thing next to last, there's, I don't know, I'm running out of time.
The wet.
Things we do. We ask people this question: what goes in your backpack? Now, this could be something physical, like an avocado. It could be something metaphorical, like hope for the future. Carrie, what's a good physical thing someone could throw in a backpack?
Extra set of teeth.
An extra
You
set
just
of
never
teeth.
know.
Okay.
It's DJ
Um,
Cumberbund's answer. I like
What
that
could we
one.
do for something metaphorical?
Kindness.
Seems like the answer, like a world
Burlesque
peace person would
performer
do.
Ariel Helvetica.
Oh, that's right. Josh Robert Thompson, what will you add to the backpack to help people find success over the next several years?
Does it have to be? Well, I'll put a banana peel in there. First of all, we gotta circle back to that banana peel. So that's a callback.
Yeah, if you want to, I was thinking about this a lot. It was a very interesting question, and I think what I would have in my backpack is the spirit of play that we had as children. So often, especially with social media, there's this pressure to continue to put stuff out and make things and get views and likes, and there is sort of that expectation of, well, it didn't do well because people didn't see it. But I remember when I did public access TV, and I remember when I made those talk shows in my basement as a kid. We didn't have social media. We didn't have anybody watching. It was made just for us. We made it because we enjoyed it, because we loved it. And that's very important, I think, to keep in mind as you make your way through life, or if you're in this industry of entertainment. Just make things to make things. Just create simply to create. And when you do it that way, and it's very hard, by the way, to remember that. I have to try to remind myself of that because of social media, because of this constant pressure that's mostly self-imposed. But, even in public access, we still to this day, I have no idea if anybody was watching any of those shows. And it didn't matter. And I probably would have made them quite differently if I felt the pressure of thinking that, I needed to please people. So please yourself first and remember that spirit of play as a kid. I think that's very important. It's very, very important. It's a lot to carry in your backpack. It might be kind of heavy. Maybe bring 2. I don't know. And some no-dos. Put a packet of no-dos in there as well.
I take the part of your advice where you tell me to please myself very seriously, so I'm with you on that.
It's rated PG-13.
Well, listen, the philosopher Henry Olsagan Olamide Adeola Samuel did say we are never going to survive unless we get a little crazy. So I think that there's some reason to think about that. And, I had one other thought I was thinking about the whole time is in doing interviews. I know that JRT does a pretty good Larry David. So I thought, what if we did, the scene is this. Larry David can't get the money out of the vending machine. But he has come across a sex toy, and he's thinking that maybe this is somehow the tool he's going to use to get into the vending machine. Okay, ready?